Hello and welcome to the inaugural show of HR Executive Exchange. I'm Melodie Reagan, the CEO of I2I Workforce, and I'm your host. HR Executive Exchange is about talent. Now, talent is at the core of every business and organization. And what we're going to do on Executive Exchange is we're going to explore the life cycle of a worker, everything from recruiting to management, to development, through to retirement, and yes, even terminations is something that we are going to be covering. What you can count on with this show is we're going to give you lots of tools and tips, and we're going to give you insights on how to manage, develop, and grow your workforce as well as your career. Now, today we have a very exciting topic, and the topic that we're going to be discussing today is actually the talent pipeline. And our guest for discussing this amazing talent, we're going to start today with Sam Bailey. Sam is the VP of Economic Development for the Denver Metro Economic Development Corporation. And Sam is going to share with us how talent affects our ability and our economic stability with acquiring and retaining businesses. After that, we have an executive with Digicomm International, that's Jill Tynas, and Jill pretty much runs operations. And what I'm going to tell you is Jill has been doing a lot of recruiting, and we want her to share with us what her experience has been recruiting in this market and what are some of the things that she does that's unique, that brings talent, and that she makes sure she's getting that right hire. Next, we're going to be talking to Beth Gage, and Beth is the Senior Director with Juniper Networks. And Beth with Juniper Networks has taken a very strong initiative on how do you recruit and find really hard to hire talent. She's created an amazing program that she's had a lot of success with at Juniper, and she's going to come and she's going to share that with us. Now, before we start, I want to tell you a few things about the market in Colorado. I don't know if you remember from your days with economic development. In a capitalistic market, unemployment at 5% is actually what you would call a healthy market. So what is the unemployment today in Colorado? Well, it's 2.3%. And nationally, we are at 4.4%. What that means is that we have more opportunities and more jobs than we have talent to fill, and it's getting harder and harder to find that talent and fill those jobs. Now, for Colorado, here's something that I didn't used to know from a statistic. In Colorado, we have about 5.7 million population. About 2.9 million of that constitute what is known as our civilian labor force. And the civilian labor force is anybody over 16 that is not in the armed services that is eligible to work. What's amazing is of our 2.9 million, if you just round it, we're pretty much at 2.9 million that are currently employed. So we do not have a lot of eligible workers out there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to turn to Mr. Sam Bailey. So welcome, Sam. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me today.
Sam, before we get into the talent pipeline, we all talk about economic development. A lot of people really don't know what that is. Would you do me a favor, and let's start off, and would you share with our audience, what is economic development?
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me here today. Economic development is really focused on creating impactful investments that bring new wealth into communities and actually help create a balance within a community. Whether it's creating new jobs, bringing in new capital investment, working on bringing in healthy amenities that help create a vibrant place for people to live and conduct business. So as you look at an economic development professional, those are essentially the stewards of the community, trying to create balance, create a welcome place for businesses to operate, bringing new incremental wealth that helps then fuel the fire of that community to be successful long term.
Sam, I love the way you said that. Now, Sam, I'm so happy to have you here today because I think you are incredibly unique from this perspective. You are somebody who has worked at the Governor's Office of Economic Development. You went out to the county and were the CEO of Jefferson County Economic Development. Now you've come back to the city, and obviously in Metro Denver, that is one of our largest economic centers for the state of Colorado. I'm just going to throw this in for a second. Why is it that you think Colorado has been so successful with our economic development? If I look at the last 5 years, we have just blown it out. It's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm originally from the city of Chicago, which is a very historical city that had been developed down. Coming to Colorado, like many transplants are here, we've done a lot to invest forward-thinking in our community, whether that's putting Denver International Airport 20 miles away from the city. That was done with a lot of intention. The investment in fast tracks, creating a well-rounded education system. Those long-term investments have created a very attractive place for individuals to relocate to Colorado, for businesses to relocate and expand here. The interesting thing is if you actually look at the Metro Denver region, that represents about 3.6 million individuals. The percentage of people who are actually native is 42%. Those that are not native are 48%. And those that are international are 10%. So majority of the people who are actually living in the Front Range aren't from here. They've relocated or migrated here, whether it was because of the quality of life, employment opportunities. So as we start to build a very well-rounded community, yes, a lot of excitement has come here, but that brings along some substantial responsibility to make sure that we're investing in things such as our talent and workforce development pipeline, our infrastructure, business-friendly policies and regulations, so that we can continue the growth and have responsible development that accommodates our community sizes, but also responds to the needs of industry.
You know what? I'm so proud to live in Colorado, and I love what we have accomplished. It's just been so amazing to me. And you know, one of the things, I know you work with businesses, Sam. Your mother was a very successful entrepreneur, so you have just always brought that amazing business perspective, and I think that makes us unique in government as well. So, you know, something that a lot of people really don't understand is that acquiring and retaining businesses is really something that you have to be proactive about. Can you share with me how talent affects your ability to bring businesses in and keep them?
Absolutely. So when we look at attracting a company, whether it's a Fortune 500 company in their headquarters or a venture-backed startup out of Silicon Valley, with either of those companies, talent is going to be in the top 5 major factors as why they may relocate or expand or decide to retain themselves within a community. The misconception in economic development, and something that's always top of news, is what incentives did they receive? At the end of the day, incentives aren't the major driver. It really comes down to talent. A company's going to look at a community and say, we want to expand, whether it's 100 jobs or 50 jobs or 1,800 jobs. Where can we find the viable talent that is trained or has the adaptability to be trained on our systems or our process, our manufacturing line, will be attracted to our company culture, and we can also find that is affordable for our company to scale to substantial size. Now, Colorado, because of this influx, has become very competitive, but it also has become a tight market. 2.3% unemployment rate in the state of Colorado. It's 2.1 in Denver. It's 1.8 if those numbers are still current today. In Boulder,
they keep going down.
They keep going down. And with that, a company will say, here's my concern. Is there the capacity to support my job creation goals? Our job is to help create that capacity through partnerships with our universities, through apprenticeship programs, and other means that allow a company to see the ability to scale and to retain their employees and to be competitive in today's workforce.
You know what? Having the talent you need, that is exactly, it's at the core of any and every business. Now, here's something that I am a firm believer of. I own 2 businesses, and I am a firm believer that to be successful, you have to have that public-private partnership, right?
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things I know when you were at the Office of Economic Development for the governor, you used to handle something that would support businesses in training. Can you share just a couple of quick ideas? If I'm a business owner, what kind of support can I get from government to help me with my talent?
Sure, and that's the benefit of being an economic developer. We really operate as the business concierge. Oftentimes, a company may not know that there are.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that again.
Absolutely. Many times, a company may not realize there may be a federal, a state, or a local resource that can support their job creation plans. Whether that's through a grant program funded by the state called Colorado First, an existing industry grant program.
Remember that name, everybody. Colorado First.
That's a partnership between the state of Colorado and the community college system. how they work together is working with a business, whether they're doing manufacturing, lean, some new process, a computer system. It's very adaptable to support training that can come through one of Colorado's community colleges, of which there are 13 statewide. It can come through a trainer that the company has identified, or an in-house program. And the focus there is to support companies that are building resume transferable job skills in Colorado for Joe and Jane Colorado. The benefits with that program is they're adaptable, whether it's an IT company, financial services, manufacturer. The other resource that often is overlooked is the workforce centers that are spread throughout Colorado's counties across the state. Those can provide screening, they can look at eligible applicants, they can provide demographic and workforce studies on what's in the region or drive times from specific destinations. So when we go to compete on a company, oftentimes I'm looking at what are our talent resources that we can leverage? What are case studies where a university partnership was leveraged with a manufacturer to scale an apprenticeship program that then became full-time employees? So we often look at case studies of how these programs have been successful. The combination of those being put together to support a company often is driven by the economic developer, helping be the concierge to understand what are the facets that are going to drive this deal or opportunity, as well as how do we coordinate these efforts so they stack appropriately to meet the client's needs.
You know what, I love what you brought up, and something that I want to say to all of our business owners in the audience. If you don't know your economic developer, go online, get that connection, because there are so many fantastic resources that they can help you with. And you know what, Sam, what I love, and this is something with our clients, I can tell you with Eye, because we do outsourced HR teams, we always make sure that we bring in workforce. Because they have assessment. You need somebody to take an assessment on Excel or Word. They'll take care of that for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. That's some of the benefits of your tax dollars,
Absolutely.
right? Okay, wonderful. Well, here's another question that I have for you. Is we talk about talent, the gaps with talent. You know, what does that mean? Because there's a couple of things. Everybody always says people are underemployed, we have gaps. What does that really mean? What are we saying?
So when we look at companies that are trying to hire, typically when we see the skills gap, it revolves around Colorado's advanced industries. So those are technical skills, whether it's thermoplastic composite manufacturing, customized welding. If you go into information technology, there's a litany of of training and skills that, as not being someone in the industry, I can't speak directly to. But oftentimes it's the mid-management and some senior level skill sets that are missing. That for an advanced industries economy like we have here in Colorado, those are crucial for growth. We have one of the largest concentrations of aerospace and defense manufacturers here. Their biggest issue as they look forward, that's a combination of manufacturing but also computer science skills. So as that gap is there, it makes it increasingly hard for Colorado to compete to support the existing demands of those companies and the future demands. So when we look at those skills gaps, it might be that we don't need more people coming out of a 4-year liberal arts degree, but coming out of technical programs that may come through Ames Community College or through Metro State here in Denver. Those skills that are more technical, hands-on, that contribute to a manufacturing process or an advanced industries economy are crucial, especially as we have really developed an innovative mindset. We are focused on scaling new technologies. We have 30 federally funded research facilities here. Those research facilities are creating spin-off benefits that companies are then starting and expanding upon. And the fact that we have that opportunity, it needs to be seized, but needs the appropriate talent to support it long term.
That's fantastic. You know what? I want to go back and just as far as a quick little wrap on economic development, you shared some of the programs. Sam, I can't even begin to thank you enough for being here today, but what I would love, could you, just like a parting word of advice, if you wouldn't mind, just sharing with our audience, what would be your core recommendation for them in terms of dealing with the talent situation that they're facing?
Sure. So I think when I look at the companies that we've worked with, I often very much encourage companies talk with other businesses and discover what types of partnerships they've made, whether it be at the university, the supplier, when it comes to workforce. Oftentimes these partnerships have been started because of a CEO's passion. Maybe they were an alumni at a university. Oftentimes there you find great case studies, and those are the case studies that we as economic developers leverage when we talk to other companies about the creative passion that we have here in Colorado. Also get to know your economic developers. I mentioned before, our job is to be your concierge. information. Many companies, big or small, may not have someone who can whittle through a federal, state, county, local program. Our job is to identify what the resources are that we can combine together and support with your company. And our job is to make for a healthy Colorado. And by doing that, we try and make a healthy environment for businesses like the ones we're trying to support here today operate in. So I'd encourage your viewers to get in touch with your economic developer. And our job is to make sure that you're successful, period.
By the way, you are amazing. Thank you so much, Sam, for being here
Thank
today.
you very much for
I
having
really
me today.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, next up, we have another guest that's going to talk to us about, she is going to talk to us about her recruiting experiences. And I've already mentioned, this is Jill Tyne. She's the VP of Digicomm International. So with that, welcome, Jill. We're so happy to have you here today.
Hi, Melody. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. So, Jill, we were just talking with Sam about the environment, and we know where unemployment is at in the state. Digicomm is a fabric company here in Colorado, and you have been growing and growing, which we're really happy about, and you've been doing a lot of recruiting. Now, one thing that I know is through the years, you have continued to evolve your recruiting. And so first off, we're going to jump into that and we're going to go into serious detail.
Okay.
But if you could let everybody in our audience know Digicomm. Tell them who Digicomm is.
Sure. So Digicomm was founded in 1993. We are a distribution company that serves the cable TV and service provider industry. What that means is we sell everything that a cable provider needs to take the signal from their plant all the way to their home. So we're all of the pieces and parts that you see that a cable company needs, we manage all those parts and are able to ship those out both domestically and internationally throughout the world.
Yeah, throughout the
Yeah.
You know what I actually one thing that I want to say, and this is the way business is changing, and sometimes when we talk about the gap, even though you are a part supplier, I don't consider you a part supplier. You guys have such a sophisticated operation. So could you share a little bit more about that with our audience?
Sure. So at Digicomm, we're not just their distribution partner with, say, a cable operator. We really take it to another level where we're doing just-in-time inventory. We call that vendor-managed inventory or vendor-consigned inventory. We're looking at what they have in stock at their warehouses or at their facilities and making sure that they have inventory to support those cable customers. Our customers.
Yeah. By the way, I really find it impressive. So my next question for you, Jill, is through the years, with your recruiting, how would you say your recruiting has changed? What have you taken out? What have you put in? How has it changed?
We've really taken it up to a lot slower level to hire the right individuals. We're looking for people who are passionate about customer service. We're looking for people who love to come to work, who are dynamic thinkers, and that takes a while to find. We really take time interviewing, a couple of times, talking to our leadership team, doing profile assessments, doing Excel or other assessments to make sure that the individuals coming in are able to be successful in our environment.
You know what I love about that is, and I can even say this with candidates and other companies, culture really matters. Mm-hmm. And you're fit with the culture. And what I love about Digicomm, it is that you take the time to make sure that they match with you, but you have respect for the candidate, knowing this is their livelihood, this job is an extension of them. It really matters that we get the right fit. So along those lines, what are maybe some of the tools? How do you go through and understand in that interviewing process that you're actually getting the right fit?
Right. So we, at the initial part of the interview cycle, whether we're recruiting candidates who are coming in from an ad or cold sourcing or networking to find those individuals, we take time to understand who they are holistically. What are their career goals? What do they enjoy doing? What are they really proud of in their career that they've done? And what are some things they don't want to do? Really starting at the beginning and understanding that holistic approach to the individual, I think you're able to cull down and find those people who really resonate with what our culture is.
Fantastic. By the way, one other one that I'm just going to share that you do that I think is really impressive is you start off almost with a screening cultural interview.
Yes.
So you start your process with that before you, and it is a process. Do you have the skills? Do you have the interest? And then the other thing that I think is fantastic is you actually, as the head of operations, which is really smart, you do the first interview because you know it has to pass muster with you first. And then if it does, you involve the rest of your team in that process, which I'm going to tell you, it has been, it's really been impressive to watch that. Now, through the years, you've added some other tools. So you do work with Workforce, you do the assessment.
Absolutely.
You also use your own assessments. Tell us about that.
We do. We use Profiles XT, which is really looking at the candidate both in two ways, in their thinking ability and do they have the right knowledge and numerical and verbal skills to work in our organization, and then behaviorally, how do they think in situations. And we've found that it's much easier to find candidates who are already there than to bring someone in who doesn't quite share those, and they really struggle to meet what our expectations are.
Fantastic. And tell me, has it been good for you to use that tool? Has it made a difference in your hiring?
I think it's made a difference. It's definitely, when you're talking to candidates, there may be things that you hear them saying, but it may not be shown in their assessments. So you really go back in and interview those candidates for those types of behaviors or thinking styles that you'd like to make sure that they possess before you bring them on board.
By the way, you just used a very important word in interviewing, behavior.
Yes.
One of the greatest predictors of past success, I said that just backwards. Future success is past performance.
Yes.
One of the things that we encourage with all of our clients is to do behavioral interviewing. Built into the Profile XT, and something that you do at Digicomm is you ask people, so how did you do this? And you have them walk you through it as opposed to assuming so that you get that fit.
Correct. I think it's very important to hear it in their own words. How did they do it? What are you most proud of? How did you do that? People love talking about themselves. They really do. And when they're proud of something or when they've stumbled and they've worked their way through problem solving, they're really happy to tell you that. And I love hearing those stories from those individuals.
I do too. Okay, I want to do one quick thing. And Jill, I so appreciate you being here. Can we show the jobs that Jill currently has open? So would you tell us briefly about the jobs that you currently have open?
Sure. We currently have open anywhere from order entry analyst, which is someone who's receiving those orders and processing them through our system. We have a first impression coordinator who is going to be managing the first impressions with our customers, customer service analyst who's responding to customer inquiries in a very timely, quick manner, and then a staff accountant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, anybody who wants to apply, just go to workforce.hiringthing.com. And please get your resume in. And Jill, I can't thank you enough. And, one of these, we'll have to come back. We need to get a panel put together so that we can all share. It really is complex, how many candidates and how much time it takes just to find that right person. But I want to honor you and Digicomm. You care about getting the right candidate, but you care not just for Digicomm, but for the people that are applying for the job. You bring such an integrity to it. So thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure to have you today.
Melodie.
All right, so everybody, we are now going to bring our next guest in, and that's Beth Gage. Beth is the Senior Director of Engineering at Juniper Networks. Beth, it is so fantastic to have you here today. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to start off with, just for those who don't know Juniper Networks, which is another one of our foundation businesses here in Colorado. Can you tell us who Juniper is?
Sure. Juniper Networks, we provide networking and security infrastructure products for the internet and for private networks around the world. You'll find our products and solutions in data centers, in telecom operators, cable operators, and private networks around the world, as I said.
Yeah, and by the way, how big is Juniper Networks globally? How many employees do you guys have, would you say, approximately?
It's between 8,000 and 9,000 around the world.
Yeah, exactly. You are, by all measures, for Colorado, you are one of our big, just so everybody knows the majority, it's somewhere 95, 97 of the employers in Colorado have 500 or fewer employees. Mm-hmm. So don't quote me on that exactly, but I'm pretty close. So here's something, and I remember you and I talking about this. So we're in a tight labor market, but there are certain skills that are just hard to get. And when you are in a technical industry, they're hard. The other one is we know that having a very diverse workforce gives us even better quality performance. And one thing that I know that you did a couple of years ago is this was a problem you went after and you started to tackle. So how did you tackle it?
Well, first, I work in the systems engineering organization, which is part of our sales teams. And engineers, in and of themselves, we look for people that are passionate about the technology and want to help customers. And on top of that, they need to be able to communicate well. So that unique mix of talent is very challenging to find. A couple of years ago when I started this program, we were looking at our base of systems engineers in Juniper around the world and realized we're an aging workforce. And that when I looked around the industry, there weren't that many big companies that were left anymore from 20 years ago that brought in college level talent. And so we began to build our own bench and began to recruit interns and new college graduates to bring them into sales, technical sales and systems engineering, and show them what kind of career they could have with that. And that's where the program really began.
By the way, I think it is fantastic. But now let's share a little bit more. You created it, and in terms of the diversity, give me the specifics. Like, how did this program end up working, and how did you go about onboarding people? Because what I know to be fact is that you actually are hiring people who don't have all the skills on day one.
Yeah, that's
You're
absolutely
training
true.
them into it.
Yeah.
So how did you guys set this up, and how is it running?
Well, it was a huge culture shift, first of all, taking a workforce, the technical sales workforce that was in their mid-40s or higher, and trying to come up with a formula to bring in junior talent and grow them. So that's a shift that has gone on. But the program we've designed in two parts, the internship and then the first year program. And they feed in and they interlock together. So we started with a pilot program which was interns, and then we were able to build on each year from that. The way that we design it is that the interns come in for 12 weeks in the US up to 6 months or a year in other parts of the world, depending on the university system. And we assign them to a systems engineering team, and we give them a really meaty project for them to work on. So keep in mind, they're still in college. They need to have something to show on their resume when they graduate that was worthwhile. Our teams need maybe a new demo or a new solution to take out and show customers, or something to solve for customers. So we try to make that a win-win. And with the internship program, at the end of their internship, they've gotten to see what Juniper's like, what it's like to be in technical sales. They've gotten some exposure to customers. So they have a little bit more of an idea if this is going to be a good fit for them. We've gotten to see how they work with our teams, so we have an idea of whether we want to invite them to apply or not. And so if it's a good fit, we invite them to apply. We take them through another interview process for the first year program. And
Fantastic.
then if they're accepted, we do have a 1-year program that is specifically focused on technical training and certifications and filling in some of the gap. Naturally, you can't fill in 20 years worth of experience in 1 year, but
Wouldn't that be nice?
no, but we on-ramp them as in a pretty solid way the first year, and during that time, they're getting to know the teams that they will ultimately join after that first year. And so it's an orientation period for both the intern and the teams that adopt them as well into the long-term programs.
Do you know what I'm going to tell you that I think is amazing about what you've done? You've tackled a couple of beasts. So what is that? We have a multi-generational workforce today. You also have addressed the elements of gender and what has historically been a classically male industry. Just so everybody knows, Beth and I actually met when we were younger in our career, and I'm older than Beth, so I can say when she just started her career. But we both had careers in high tech and technology. You tackled that, but then you added into it the multicultural. You are bringing people from different countries. You're doing the try-by, but you're getting them integrated into the team before they even start. And I think that is just a fantastic program, really smart. And you are training them into it, so you're not expecting them to hit right at the bottom. It's like, here, I gotta go, boom, and I'm in it.
We want to set them up for success.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, here's a question that I have. given your experience, what advice would you give to others that are trying to fill really hard to fill positions?
I would say look at some of what your assumed constraints are. One, as I said, this has been a real culture shift for our organization. It's more common to post a job position and try to fill it as fast as possible. University system doesn't work that way. If you're trying to hire in candidates, then we need to plan ahead for when those positions would be available. It's really forced our executives to think about planning out how many heads might we have at this entry level next year, and have those offers ready the year before, before the candidates are really, on the market right before they graduate.
That's serious planning.
Yeah, it's not part of the larger culture. It's something that we've adopted with this program. The other thing that we've learned during the process is to make that internship a really great experience, because that in itself has created a pipeline for us. These students go back to their colleges and talk with their friends and rave about the great experience or the great project that they work on. And then the next year we have more applicants from those university programs that are, meshing with the direction that we're going. So, yeah, I would just encourage folks to look at things from a couple of different angles and challenge yourself about what your assumed constraints might be.
That's fantastic, Beth. And then, of course, I'm going to ask anybody who wants to apply, how can they go about applying?
They can either look for Juniper on LinkedIn. We post all our jobs under Juniper Networks. Go search there, or careers.juniper.net. And we post all of our intern and new college grad positions there, not only for my organization, but the company around the world.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to ask you to stay here. I'm going to wrap up my show. I'm going to say thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks again for having us.
Oh, it's been fantastic to have you. Okay, I'm going to do just a quick wrap here. I hope that you have received, I hope everybody in our audience has received a tremendous amount of value from the show today. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, I want to do a couple of reminders for you. Higher Results airs every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and you can find us on Facebook/Higher Results. And if you miss a show, don't worry about it. You can find past episodes on I2I Workforce/Higher-Results. And I'm going to leave you with just one parting thought for the talent pipeline. No, it's kind of hard. One of the things that came out today that's really, really, really important, jobs matter to any and everybody that you're hiring. It is their livelihood. So one of the quotes that we always say is, hire slow, fire fast in the development of your business. Take the time to make sure that you are getting the right talent that can do the job that you have, and it will make a world of difference for you, your business, and your culture. Thank you so much. And you know what? I found myself thinking about this. I love the show from years ago where they would end, like on Sunday morning, see you on the radio. Well, I'm going to say see you on the internet. We'll see you next week.